I'd like to start with a quote of an American feminist already decades ago who said, "True equality will only have been achieved if we have as many incompetent women in positions of power as incompetent men." I don't think I need to say much more about quotas, but Chair, I don't think there is anybody who is really in favour of quotas. The trouble is that so far voluntary measures have achieved us next to nothing. And we need to do something, because doing nothing is not an option. If we see the report of the European Commission of last week demonstrating that there are only 13% of board members are female and only 3% are actually leading listed companies, that is pathetic. The Commission last year promised us concrete measures, and indeed last week's report, as I said, exposes the complete lack of progress. And I have to say, Commissioner, that I'm slightly disappointed at the follow-up. You propose another consultation, whereas you'd say after decades of stagnation and after a year of trying with voluntary measures, I would say the time to act is here. It's no longer a time for words.
Madam President, figures show that the pay gap between men and women is still large. After all these years of EU gender equality regulations, targets, initiatives, the situation is still pretty poor. And now you want to introduce quotas for women in boardrooms. To be perfectly honest with you, when I read it, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because if a woman is dedicated and good, she can get to the top. Did Margaret Thatcher need quotas to become the British Prime Minister? No, she didn't. She did it based on raw ability, an iron will, and because she was the best person for the job. When you bring in quotas, you lessen quality, you promote mediocrity, and I contend that businesses should have the right to hire the best person for the job, and it shouldn't matter whether they're male, female, black or white or anything else. It's called a meritocracy, and it's something which Britain and the English-speaking peoples of the world have been pioneering for centuries. How would you feel if you were a woman who'd worked very hard, you got into management only for a token woman to be handed a similar job? If anything, this will create a culture of discrimination, as colleagues will constantly ask, did you get there because you're good, or did you get there because you ticked a few boxes? You call this positive discrimination. I contend that discrimination is never positive. So here we have it. In a desperate bid to sound popular, you are not only patronising women, you're promoting mediocrity, you're hampering business, and I would urge all members to vote against this report tomorrow. Thank you.
Κύριε Νάταλ, έχετε δύο μπλε κάρτες. Δύο συνάδελφοι θέλουν να κάνουν ερωτήσεις για σας. Πρώτα απ' όλα, ήθελα να ζητήσω από την κυρία Πιετικάνεν, εάν δεν έχετε αντίρρηση, να σας υποβάλει ερώτηση. Παρακαλώ, κυρία Πιετικάνεν.
President, I just would like to ask my colleague about his understanding of meritocracy, on which facts he bases his knowledge that one can't find more qualified women on the boards of companies than exists at the moment.
Look, if a woman is good enough, she'll be promoted. It's as simple as that. And what we should have is a situation where we're not hampering business with regulation in times of austerity. What we should be doing is ripping up red tape and allowing businesses to hire the best person for the job, not actually introducing even more big statism, more legislation, tying the hands of businesses. No, let's do the opposite. Let's deregulate and let's ensure that the best person for the job gets it, regardless of gender, colour, creed, religion, anything else. Best person should always get the job.
Mrs. Veld, you sure you want to raise a question? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a brief question to Mr. Nuttall. I understand that he considers that those people in the top jobs right now are there purely on the basis of merit. They are, as we have observed, 97% white men. So you say they are the best people for the job. Would you say that these 97% white men have done a great job with our economy lately?
No, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't say that women will probably do a better job, actually. Look, hang on. Look, in our country, the greatest monarchs that we've ever had have been women. Undoubtedly. Probably our greatest Prime Minister of the last century has been a woman. It's as simple as that. But she got there, probably the Labour Party don't like that, but there we are. But she got there purely on merit because she was the best person for the job. And I tell you what, if you go down this line, all you're doing is you're tying the hands of businesses in times of austerity. It's wrong. You should deregulate. You should deregulate. You should do away with red tape, give business the freedom to hire the people they want.
Nuttall, it's very clear your position. I would like now to...